can't see me, you Stevie. Wondering how I reach more evolutions than Evie and make it look easy.
What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's your boy Ernie, the Blerd Without Fear. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another round of the best comics this week, the show where I give you 4 of the best comics I read each and every week, tell you a little bit about them and why you should be picking them up too. But before we get into those things, I just want to say real quick, make sure, because YouTube doesn't like showing these videos, everybody, make sure you hit that subscribe button, tap that notification bell, that way you don't miss out on anything, and also, hit that like button, it really helps the channel out. And also, this new feature on YouTube that I'm pretty sure is only available on mobile, called Hype. Use that. It helps support your favorite creators by basically giving them a little extra jolt in the algorithm. Anyway, let's talk about the best comics this week. All right, first and foremost is gonna be G.I. Joe number 13. This is the kickoff of a new story arc, the Dreadnought War. And I have been really excited for this because one of my biggest criticisms of the Energon universe, at least when it comes to the G.I. Joe side of things, it kind of felt like those early trades, like, G.I. Joe Duke, G.I. Joe Cobra Commander. It felt like those books didn't have as much weight as I felt they should have had. I mean, they were effectively G.I. Joe Begins, Cobra Rising. It was effectively that. But this is probably the first issue of Joshua Williams's G.I. Joe series that feels like it really hangs its hat on those principles we started out with at the beginning of the Energon universe. So in this one, we find what is effectively Duke and Cobra Commander, the two characters who pretty much started it all in regards to the G.I. Joe sides of things in the Energon universe. We see them fall into what might be, I don't want to call it a buddy cop situation, but I will definitely call it an enemy mine situation. And the reason why is because Cobra, they've basically been making moves. They've already gotten their hands on Energon. They know how to produce it. Like, they're not even rising anymore. Cobra is here. And while there's definitely infighting going on within Cobra's ranks, obviously, because why wouldn't there be? Would it be Cobra if there was not infighting? G.I. Joe has made inroads to becoming a more tight-knit unit. And everybody, even down to Baroness and Calendar Girl, even they're getting along. So it seems like from a social perspective, everything that's going good for or rather I would say everything that's going bad for Cobra is going good for G.I. Joe. The things that are going bad for G.I. Joe are going good for Cobra. It's a really nice little juxtaposition of things. But for right now, Cobra's got it really bad. Because right now, Cobra is getting some of his just desserts from a character by the name of Ripper, who some of you might recognize as one of the Dreadnoks. In this issue, Ripper is going to hand Cobra Commander a receipt for things that were done to him and to his people during Joshua Williams's Cobra Commander miniseries, and it's going to put Duke in a very actionable position. One where a Duke who is still grieving the loss of his friend and partner Frost during the Transformers series has now found himself in a position where he has to make a choice. Is the enemy of my enemy my friend? Or are they my enemy? Next up is gonna be Absolute Green Lantern number 8. This book, I'm not gonna lie, I knew this one was going to be good. I knew it was going to be good because Absolute Green Lantern's been a fantastic series thus far, but I really knew it was going to be good because it was going to be delving into Joe's past and kind of doing some things a little bit differently than what we know of Joe in Prime Earth continuity. I'm not going to pontificate on Joe's Prime Earth continuity origin, but I'll just say, and I'll try to remember to do this, I'll try to remember to leave a link up here to a video kind of giving you a little bit more information about Joe and her origin story. But just know her upbringing in the Absolute Universe is kind of a little bit different than what we might be familiar with in Prime continuity. And she grew up in an era, especially in Evergreen, what is effectively a podunk, no-name town, one-horse town type scenario, small town vibes with people with not really much ambition, and the ones who do have a lot of ambition either are the bad guys or people who are trying to get the hell out of Dodge from the people who are the bad guys. This book does a really good job of kind of digging into the lore of DC Comics, more specifically Green Lantern, but really just kind of, in general, we see where characters that you might be familiar with, like the Black Hand of Prime Earth continuity, as well as the former Manhunter, now known as Leviathan. Who remembers Leviathan? Yeah, exactly. Nobody. Nobody's talking about Leviathan. We see how those characters, like where they are in the Absolute Universe continuity, but all around the framework of learning how Jo became a cop, why she wanted to become a cop in Evergreen, and how she wound up falling into her relationship and the marital woes that she has with Cameron Chase, who kind of very similar to her Earth Prime counterpart, is a part of the DEO. And now, kind of in the midst of seeing maybe what started all that between them, which kind of find it funny. This book is messy. This issue is really messy when it comes to showing you how that marriage between Cameron and Jo fell apart. But just know, at some point, there's an Uber, and some cheeks are getting wore out in the Uber. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, I love it because it shows that Jo is human, that she makes mistakes, she's not perfect, and even kind of enhances why her wedding ring is effectively her Green Lantern ring. But all of that aside, yeah, I love what this is kind of showing us, and even what it's kind of setting up, because as we saw just a couple of issues prior, that Jo was reaching back out to Chase because of the events of the previous volume of Absolute Green Lantern, where now she's trying to help Hal Jordan recover from having succumbed to being the Black Hand in this universe. We now see whether or not Cameron Chase is going to get jiggy with that. And I think it's going to make it even more interesting because of some things that have come up in the past couple of issues. Why her helping, it could be a good thing, but it could also be a bad thing. Next up on the docket is going to be Godzilla number 4. This is, I feel like, the watershed moment for the Godzilla series, but more specifically, it's G-Force. We've seen over the course of the past 2 or 3 issues what the G-Force USA team is all about. Some of them are serious, some of them are not serious, some of them are way too serious, and some of them maybe not so serious enough. We have seen how Dr. Rumi has been helping Jason learn how to, I won't say necessarily control his powers, but how to better use them against kaiju. We get some information in a previous issue kind of showcasing to us some of what Dr. Rumi did back when she was still in Japan. We also, kind of following up from that, get to see Jason use it in practice, because, well, for a title called Godzilla, you don't really see a lot of Godzilla in these books. That is probably my one major criticism of it. But I will say, the juice has been worth the squeeze and the wait, because we do get to see a little bit of Godzilla, a little bit more of Godzilla in this issue, where the big green machine is going one-on-one with Jet Jaguar. But then also going one-on-one with Jason as well at a later point. And we get to see maybe the beginnings of Jason, I won't say necessarily accepting Godzilla as the force of nature that he truly is, at least stepping onto the road to walking that path. And then, of course, we can't forget the overarching villain of all this, who has been looming large over the proceedings ever since issue 1, the Lament. And we get to learn a little bit more about that character. And I'm not gonna lie, even though I know for a fact that Tim Seeley never really got into Kaiju number 8 before writing the series, even though I know this, he is never beating the charges. That this isn't like almost a Kaiju 8 type of story. It kind of is almost, but in a very different way. And I think, by my estimation, I think being done better and being handled better. I mean, granted, Kaiju number 8 is run for a lot of chapters, but I feel like already in just 4 issues, Godzilla is doing some things that I feel Kaiju number 8 screwed the pooch on. Godzilla's doing better. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But the Lament, we're learning about some strange alliances that are now going on within this Godzilla universe, where the Lament is working with very unlikely allies in this. And we're getting to learn more about what the Lament, I won't say wants, but definitely we're figuring out kind of what the Lament definitely needs. shots. And it's really cool. It's really fun. I like it a lot. I think that with everything that's been set up so far, this is one of those issues where you just know within the next couple of issues, whether it's Godzilla number 5, Godzilla number 6, you can already kind of feel the heat rising on the story arc to where you know it's all about to spill over in the next issue or two. All right, last and most certainly not least is going to be Miles Morales Spider-Man number 40. This is an issue I feel has been a long time in the making. Miles has been doing everything but dealing with his own personal issues and with the, I guess, the more closer knit story arc of, you know, the Miles Morales Spider-Man series that Cody Ziegler kicked off. We had, you know, some of the events of Gang War did kind of tie into Miles' main story, but we have also seen Miles running around and being a vampire, hanging out and palling around with, you know, gods and Wakandans and doing everything but normal. I guess technically hanging out and doing other stuff is a Spider-Man thing, but not doing Spider-Man thing. And now we're getting back to that because a character that was introduced at the very beginning of Cody Ziegler's Miles Morales Spider-Man run is back, and it is Rabble, the character who I feel like had a lot of potential. And, you know, while technically she has been looming large over Miles Morales and all the proceedings, even when she is not present, because she has had such a major impact on Miles Morales, how she was able to get close to his family, burn his apartment down, damn near harm his family, and you push him to his limits. And kind of in turn, he pushed her to her limit. Now, they wind up stumbling into each other in a way that, I'm not gonna lie, you know, sometimes characters have to be stupid. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that. Sometimes even really smart characters have to be stupid. And I actually appreciate that Cody didn't shy away from the fact that one of our new characters, Powerlift, aka Dr. Keisha Kwan, who's been Miles Morales' therapist for the last, dozen or more issues, more than a dozen plus some odd issues. She's been working with Rabble, trying to help Rabble get through her trauma, her, you know, her anger issues, and how to just, I guess, elegantly navigate her choices in life. All that being said, Keisha has screwed the pooch. She accidentally scheduled Miles and Rabble to be back-to-back patients of her. And when Miles shows up for his session, he sees Rabble, and they get into it as you would imagine. But also, it kind of showcases how far these characters have come, because while they're at each other's throats almost immediately, while it does take a little bit of coaxing and a little bit of gamma mutate energy to try and break this up, it does ultimately come down to the fact that at the end of the day, they do want to change, they want to be better, and while Rabble hasn't necessarily forgiven Miles for taking her slot in the lottery to get into the Visions Academy, and Miles has not forgiven her for, you know, nearly killing his parents and his little sister, they can realize that they both want to change. Maybe Miles more so than Rabble, but that's another story altogether, because there are bigger fish to fry, and there's gonna be something that is gonna bring these two characters, I think, together in a way maybe they didn't expect. And they're probably gonna learn they're a lot more alike than they actually want to admit, despite being directly told this by Powerless. They are going to have to face off with the Assessor. Someone who is, well, not necessarily someone that has had an incredible effect on Rabble, has had an incredible effect on Miles. Miles dealt with the Assessor back during like 2019-ish, back during like the Saladin Ahmed run of Miles Morales Spider-Man. Matter of fact, the Assessor is the whole reason, you know, behind why Miles Morales had his own version of the Spider-Man clone saga, and also why he has a clone brother running around right now. Well, the Assessor is back, and largely thanks to Rabble, because of some events that happened during the Gang War last year, somewhere in there, probably year before, by all accounts, I don't really remember. Anyway, point of the matter is, Rabble was trying to use the Assessor as a way to figure out how to gauge going against Miles Morales and taking him down once and for all. Well, now the Assessor is back. And the Assessor, I think he's got both characters' numbers. But what I don't think he had is their numbers working together. But anyway, that is the best comics this week. I hope you all enjoyed it, and you know, let me know what were some of your favorite comics to pick up this week. What are your best comics this week? Let me know down in the comments below. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, hey, consider hitting that subscribe button, tapping that notification bell so you don't miss out on more videos just like these. Also, make sure you hit that like button too, because it really helps the channel out. And if you really want to help the channel out even more, if you're watching this on mobile, use that hype feature and help boost this video in the algorithm even more. Anyway, keep it plus ultra until next time. We out of here till the next Best Comics This Week.